Here's Wilson, and on the right circle, he scores!
Rebound loose, wild scramble in front, score! Ovechkin with a buzzer beater! It counts!
And a hat trick tonight, number 21,
Spectacular! Braden Holtby!
Hello, welcome once again to the Power Play Point podcast. This is your host, the Blue Liner on Point, talking to you live from Glen Burnie, Maryland.
No.
No? No what?
No.
No.
No, whatever you're doing.
What do you mean, whatever
wearing
I'm
a
doing?
mask. Wearing a mask.
How do you know
not
wearing a
wearing
mask?
You sound weird.
I'm
One of the,
we're
you're
all
inside your house.
All right, fine.
Right?
Take it off.
There.
Thank
Happy
you.
now? Happy?
I am
Okay.
thrilled.
Well, I mean, it's the social distancing version of the Power Play Point podcast. And as you can hear, that is the mermaid, Anna Knox,
Yep.
always complaining
Social
about,
distancing.
yeah. Well, that's what they're telling us to do.
I know. It just seems so weird. But it makes sense. I mean, but how many people are I guess what's annoying about it is like people are being told what to do and they're not taking it seriously. So therefore they're still crowding bars, still crowding restaurants, still doing everything, and no one has that,
Well,
6 feet.
here's what I don't understand. Everybody has a chance to be a hero by staying home and doing nothing.
True. And people aren't.
When
But
when are you ever going to get a chance like that?
right. Well, trust me, I'm going to be home for the next 4 weeks because of my school district. So
That's right.
Yeah. It's it's scary, but people just need to be, cautious of what they're doing. And, I still don't get the whole toilet paper hoarding thing, but whatever. And then
No, won't get into that.
No, and it's hey, listen, no one is above this virus. And I think that's the message that needs to be sent is like, hey, listen, we're being told, stay inside, do this, do that. And people are like, but I'm the exception. No, asshole, you're not. No one is the exception. So whatever. So now states have to go to the extent of, closing down bars and restaurants and whatever because of people who think they're above, the law, above just advice. So whatever. I'm over it. I'm over talking about it and seeing it on social media. I really, really miss sports.
Yeah,
sad.
we're all suffering from that. Of course, unless you've been living under a rock, of course, we all know by now the NHL, along with other sports leagues, has decided to place an as yet to be defined pause on their current season.
Right.
So,
Which they needed to do. I mean, honestly, like there's no reason not to, but it's just, I don't think, as a society and certainly as like a total 100% sports nerd, didn't think I'd ever be in the situation where it was like everything was going to be gone all at once. It's like, yes, you can see, highlight reels, but it's just not the same.
no, it's not. But we have ways of coping. So
do we?
Well,
What's
some
your coping mechanism, Gil?
some not so conventional. Well, I mean, I have been made myself an expert on YouTube searches for one.
That just sounds boring.
It's no, it's not. It's amazing what you can find there.
Oh, no doubt. My kids are on YouTube all the time. I have no interest in that. But I am looking for another murder mystery or paranormal series to watch. Maybe somebody out there has something that they can say, hey, Anna, guess what? You'd really love this. And I can get into it because I'm not seeing anything on Netflix or anything that's even catching my attention these days. So we'll see.
Well, yeah, true. So there was actually one game that got to be played this week. So we must do our due diligence and go over that game. And given the sudden lack of hockey, despite the result, yeah, we're gonna do our best with it. All right, so let's go. Let's get to it. So it was
it's so awkward, right? It literally feels like the end. I'm like, I want to hear a postponement. And I'm like, God, the fact that we have to end it on I'll let you get into it.
Yeah. Okay, so it was this past Monday evening, up in Buffalo of all places against the Sabres, who at that time I believe were something like 8 or 10 points out of a playoff spot, and looking to miss the playoffs yet again. Now, I have to admit that going into this game, after the game they had in Pittsburgh against the Penguins, where they didn't look great the whole time, but they looked a lot better than they had, I figured this was going to be the classic letdown game, and boy, for the first 40 minutes, was I right.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, I think I said last week or the week before, maybe it was the week before, about there's nothing worse than seeing a team that is up and then down the next game and up and then down, by a lack of consistency. And really, there's no reason why we shouldn't have won this game. But for some reason, 60 minutes of hockey was lacking. Excuse me. And I was hoping for at least a double W, but apparently that's not going to happen. So
up and down with a lack of consistency.
Yes.
So if you really think about it, that sounds like the worst bowel movement ever.
Ew. I don't want to think about it. But I'm saying like a lack of consistency in regards to wins. How about that? But when it is quite consistent, when it's win-loss, 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 win-loss.
When it's nice and solid.
Yeah, true. But when it's, sloppy, not so much. You asked for it. Mind you, I've got 2 kids, a husband that could be a child, and I'm around 3rd graders all the time. So any kind of poop jokes you want to make, I'm there for you.
Okay, so let's quit while we are behind.
Oh,
all right. So on to the actual game. All right. So first period scoring summary, as I said. First 40 minutes of this game, not looking like the Caps were into it, to be honest. Victor Olofsson with his 20th. I believe this is his rookie year. Starting to call him Victor Golofsson up there. Scores on a wrister, 4:53 into the first. No other scoring. Jack Eichel with his 36th in the second. 53 seconds in on the power play, no less. Yeah, so 2-0 Sabres. And then you like threes. How's this for 3? Third period, 3 minutes and 33 seconds into the third.
Fantastic.
Alex Ovechkin with his 48th goal. assisted by
there we
Evgeny
go.
Kuznetsov with his 33rd assist.
33rd. Woohoo! Like, how great is that number? I mean, I'm telling you, 3 is 3, 13, 23.
Didn't you once tell me your favorite number was 4?
No.
No?
No.
It's always
When would
been
I have
3.
said that? It's always been the 3s. 3s, plural. 3, 13.
Well, this may have been why I stopped doing it, but I was looking at betting some horses, and I asked you for a number, and you gave me 4 for some reason, and I lost.
Oh, well, because you said pick a number between blah, 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 and blah, 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 and I just went with what first thing came to mind, which was 4. But if you had asked me what was my favorite number, I would have told you 3.
Okay. Well,
So if
speaking
you
of
wanted that,
4,
yeah.
Dmitry Orlov got his 4th almost 10 minutes later in the 3rd, which tied it up on a wrister. I guess we can't call him Skorlov anymore because if he's only getting 4 goals a year. Yeah, I know. You and Rochelle would rather not talk about him.
Exactly. I mean, am I glad that he scored? Of course. But but really 4 goals up, like, come on. Like, that doesn't speak volumes. So that's an incredibly frustrating statistic. And
Well,
it just irritates
defensemen aren't supposed to score that much.
But look at Carlson. I mean,
yeah, but that's what he's supposed to do.
Okay, whatever. I just don't like the guy. But hey, look at Tommy.
I know you don't.
Tommy got his 23rd assist, though.
Yes,
23rd.
Yes, I was going to mention that.
Yeah. And he has a new puppy.
I wasn't going to mention that, but we might as well now.
I just had to say.
Yeah, of course.
And they're both adorable.
Of course they are.
They are. So now we're going to your favorite thing to shoot out.
No. We went to my actual favorite thing, which is 3-on-3 overtime, which unfortunately was fruitless.
Nothing. Yeah, that's what I meant. So we're going to your favorite thing to shoot out.
And then they went to that thing, which you can take over the commentary from here because I refuse to talk about it.
Okay. Although I will say it was very frustrating on the Capitals' end on who they put in and why I feel very frustrated. But I will go ahead and give you the shootout stat. Eichel, save. Oshie, save. Reinhart, save. And here we go. Kovalchuk. I don't know why he is in the top consideration for shootouts, because I think this is just, I personally have not seen him come out in what I think he's been in 2 shootouts. He just doesn't look like he's giving 100%. It looks very half-assed, or it looks very arrogant, like, oh yeah, I don't have to give all that. I'm just going to go ahead and shoot it. And he's been denied twice. So Covey, not happy with it. All right, then we have another save and a Backstrom save, and Dahlin scores, and then Kuzi scores, and then another save, and then an Ovechkin save, and a Johansson, Mojo gets a miss, Brana save, then a goal, and Panik. So it was, I don't know, I would have changed the order, I think, is what's frustrating the fuck out of me with the shootout stuff. I understand Covey is a vet. Still don't think that this is one that he needs to be in the top. Nope. Need to put somebody else in. He's just not doing it. And now we lost, so 3-2. So I know you hate these, but I don't. But I was really hoping to see Brana score. And shit, that the way Panik has been playing, I really thought maybe he could have kind of save the day a little bit. But why they have Covey in there, he's the one I just don't think needs to be in that lineup at all. Just my opinion. Did you even watch it?
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Explode.
Doctor says I have to keep my blood pressure low. So if I even think about this.
Right, but did you watch it?
I saw the first 2 periods, and I had an early day the next day. I figured it wasn't going to be much better, and so I went to bed. Now, I caught the last 30 seconds. Thanks to my darling wife. And in time to hear John Walton say those immortal words, Capitals lose 3-2 to the Buffalo Sabres in a shootout.
Yep.
And
well, for those
my initial reaction was, thank God I missed that.
Right.
And then I laid awake for about an hour. Yep. Stewing like some real awful concoction that's been sitting in a pot for 5 days. Yeah, no. Let's be done with it. It's a terrible way to go into the pause. But yeah,
But hear me out though, because I stayed up for this. Because it doesn't bother me as much as it bothers you. But I will say, like I just said, super frustrated with how the lineup is. You have to understand, or at least agree with me on this. Oshie, 100%. You want to see him out there. Backstrom, 100%. Kuzi, 100%. Ovechkin, Brana. I would have swapped out Covey for Carlson in a heartbeat, just because of I don't know, just because I think Carlson would have. I don't know. Whatever the hell it was.
I cannot believe I'm actually going to contribute to the discussion of a thing that I abhor.
Yeah.
More than week-old seafood that's been left out. But
at a gas station. Yeah.
Even for half price. But to play devil's advocate, think about it. You go out, you get the guy, talking about Kovalchuk, you get the guy.
Yeah.
He's known for his talents as a scorer.
Right.
Why not put him in there? Why not put him in this situation? Why not use him?
I would 100% be like, absolutely, yes, put him in for all those reasons. But the last couple of times he has had the opportunity to do something, he has not produced a fantastic result. How about that? So am I impressed with him? I'm about 80% there. Do I need to see more? Yes. Is he on my Orloff list? Absolutely not. But the last time he was in the shootout, and we were like, okay, it was probably his first game. He looked like he was just basically taking practice shot. It was half-assed. It was just totally like, meh. But this is kind of the same thing. Like, I was really expecting him to step the fuck up. Like, and then I'm like, okay, but hold on, 15 minutes of hockey were played, they're tired. But I'm just like, no, like, come on, you should have adrenaline rushing. Like, you're still new to the team. We've got this expectation, like, prove yourself. And it just wasn't working. Not saying he doesn't need to be on the shootout rotation. I just don't think he needs to be, second. How about that? Maybe I'd bump him down, move everybody else up, and put him, like, last resort.
Maybe they should have scored a third goal in either the overtime period or even the third period. That would have been nice. That would have been nice.
But it,
Third period, that would have been
they
nice. Overtime, that would have been nice. Fifth minute, that would have been nice.
They just should have. They just should have played 60 minutes of hockey.
65 minutes, even 59 minutes that would have been okay.
Yeah.
58, that would have been okay.
I agree. I know, and the penalties were minimal. I know. This was one that's like, come the fuck on. Like, how do you not beat this team? And again, I don't think that, like, I don't even know if they went into it like, oh, we've got this, and they kind of, you know, played a little too arrogant. No, it's like they played great the game before.
They played down. That Ron Deal has made this comment a few times, and it's a perfect observation. They played down to their lesser opponents, and it's a really bad habit. And it's one that's going to burn them. Pardon me. If everything stays the way I don't know how, I don't know what anybody's plans are, but if the season plays out the way it's been and the Caps get a high seed, I don't know. They will end up playing a lesser opponent, and if they carry that bad habit in, that's what I worry about. They're just not shaking these bad habits.
I agree.
And that concerns me, and that has concerned me this whole year. But I mean, with everything thrown into hopefully a temporary state of uncertainty, it's hard to say what all's going to happen.
Right. Well, it'll be you want to say, okay, hey, listen, during this time of, you know, kind of this pandemic that all of us are going through, that, oh, well, of course, the athletes are going to be keeping in shape. Well, hopefully they all have home gyms, who knows, but they're not going to be on the ice, which is going to say a lot. So, like, they may be able to maintain the, you know, the meals and the workouts off ice, but on ice, I mean, it's completely different. And these guys are, you know, supposed to be separated. All of us are kind of supposed to be quarantined for the next month. It says a lot. So do I want to see that hockey season canceled? Fuck no. My God, please just postpone it. But is it going to be a totally different situation had we not had this crisis that we're in right now? 100%. So
look, and that, yeah, I as extremely disappointed as I was with the decision, and I'll admit it, I felt like, you know, somebody had just, you know, thrown my cat in a wood chipper, you know, like my best friend had just told me he'd just gotten cancer or something. I really felt that bad when that happened.
Okay,
but
those are like, okay.
I do understand, though, that in a situation like this, you have to think of the greater good. There's no other direction you can go into, and that's why they're doing this.
Exactly. And I think what a lot of people forget is that these athletes that we love to watch on television are, one, human, and two, they're also part of the family, whether they're married with kids or, you know, they're living with their parents or whatever the circumstances, it doesn't matter. They have a life also. They also need to take care of themselves. So, you know, having tens of thousands of fans packed side by side in a little, you know, in an arena, that seems huge, but when you're sitting next to a bunch of people and Cap One, you're like, hi, you know, it's like on an airplane where you're like, is this my armrest or yours? You know, but there it's like, is this my cup holder or yours? You're in each other's space, and you have to think about the locker room. You just have to be, you know, take it back and look at it from a human point of view. Does it suck? Of course it does. But we also have to hopefully think in the positive that it's temporary, that hopefully we'll be able to get, you know, a handle on stuff, which, I don't know, maybe the perfect segue to bring in our host. oh my God, our host, our guest.
Yes, and so okay, so this is something of a surprise, but and of course we're continuing these last few weeks of the season to get as many people on as we can week by week and make you, the Caps fan, the star. But things happening the way they did, I'm glad that one such person was available. I'll tell you a quick little story. It wasn't very long after I posted the tweet where the league announced the decision to suspend. I got a message from a listener, and basically he explained what was happening, and he has a unique perspective on what's happening globally with the coronavirus disease. Yes, we can say it. We're not so afraid of it here that we can't say it. I'm saying it. And we got to chatting, and I thought it would be a great idea to have him on, and he is graciously consented to take some time out of his busy schedule. I'd like to introduce him to you now, to you, the fellow listeners. His name is Ryan Fines, and he works for Spotsylvania County. And I asked him to come on because, like I said, he has a lot of information and a unique perspective on this thing. So I'd like to bring him on now. And I jokingly said that this would be your Caps fan survival guide, but I think you, the listener out there, are going to take a lot of heart in what he has to say. Ryan, can you hear us?
I'm here. Thanks, guys, for having me on. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Hi, Brian. It's so fantastic for you to call in. Thank you so much for your time.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. I'm glad to be on, and hopefully I can help educate some of the listeners and you guys on ways to stay safe during this pandemic.
Absolutely. Okay, so some of our listeners may know already who you are and what you do, but for those who don't, you have the floor, sir. Go ahead and tell us all about yourself.
Okay. Well, I am the Public Health Preparedness and Emergency Management Coordinator. I'm actually with the Commonwealth of Virginia. So basically what we do is we monitor and help curtail pandemics like this that we're experiencing right now. So we help localities all across the Commonwealth and health districts to properly mitigate, respond, and prepare for cases like the coronavirus right here. But more importantly, I'm a huge Caps fan and an avid listener. So that needs to be said at the forefront. But yeah, the goal is to help minimize the outbreak that we're seeing right now, and that's currently what I can tell everybody that lives in Virginia. If your listeners are Virginia, we are working very diligently to get back to normalcy, but it's going to take some time.
Yeah, I think we can all appreciate that. So I discussed having you on with Anna and what you do. So I don't know if she has anything, but there were some things that I had in mind that I wanted you to kind of go over with us. So we'll just start at the top.
Okay.
Everybody's talking about, of course, it's been said, maybe not too much, but of course, take care of yourself by constantly washing your hands. Try to avoid touching your face. Those are the two big ones. Other than that, what would you say are some basic preventative measures that the everyday person can do to help prevent possibly getting this thing?
Well, I mean, certainly right now with it very rapidly developing and the spread is increasing, stay home. I mean, I know that sounds cliche and everybody has said that, but that's honestly the best thing to do. Stay kind of self-quarantined. If you're sick, don't go out. Limit your public exposure. If you have to go out, if you have to go to like the pharmacy or to get medications, or you have to go to the grocery store, go at the low volume times where you decrease the chances of being around somebody that's sick or that has other symptoms. So that's the biggest thing that we're encouraging people all across the Commonwealth of Virginia to do is to stay home, to avoid going out in the public right now, because that is your best course of action. And if you do have to go out, make sure you wash your hands. Make sure any kind of surface that you touched, whether it's at the store or the pharmacy, whatever, you're constantly washing your hands afterward. You're using your Purell or hand sanitizer or whatever brand that you have. Make sure it's at least 60% alcohol volume or content in there. But you want to avoid going out in the public. That's truthfully the best course of action right now. I know there's a lot of people that have jobs that they have to be at work. And for those people, we tell them, avoid hand contact with other patrons. I mean, especially people that are in retail that handle money, constantly wash your hands. And again, I know this sounds cliche, but that's the best course of action right now. And that's what we're telling a lot of the public to do. Avoid large gatherings. The governor just declared today during his press conference, anything over 100 people, he was going to start banning large gatherings of going to a restaurant or a meeting or whatever. He's going to start eliminating. So you reduce the chances of getting, the virus. So that's the best thing I can tell people is just stay home, unless you absolutely have to go out.
True enough.
But I think I 100% agree, Ryan, with everything that you've said, and it seems so simple. And then yet we have a good portion of people who quite, think that they're untouchable. They're a little bit arrogant about this, and I see a lot of people on social media kind of treating the school closures like snow days. And in fact, kind of making a mockery of it. And I think that that's what the problem is that people are looking at this like, it's not going to happen to me. Oh, that I'm not 70. Oh, I haven't been overseas. Oh, et cetera, et cetera. And then these are the same people that are, out out and about in society, and you don't know who's sick. So it is quite scary, but also, in my opinion, quite frustrating for the amount of arrogance that's out there for people who think that they're just untouchable.
And for those people, I would say, you're not untouchable, because what you can actually be is asymptomatic transmitters. And what those are
exactly
people who have the virus but aren't showing symptoms. So you are taking that risk and going out and possibly infecting other people who are at a greater risk than you.
Yep.
So those people that have compromised immune systems, those people who, have cancer and have to go out and get their meds in order, those people that have, congenital illnesses and diseases and stuff, they are at a greater risk of contracting COVID-19. So what I would tell those people who think that they're healthy and want to go out and they're making a mockery, yes, you may be healthy, and that's great if you are, but you could also be transmitters and not realize it because you don't have the symptoms show up. I mean, it could take 2 to 14 days after they actually are infected with it that they show symptoms. So it's important that everybody take this seriously, even if you are healthy.
Yeah.
Because it's not.
And I don't know, we're learning about each other and what. So I work for Fairfax County as a teacher, and I know that we started off with a, kind of overnight, hey, school's going to be closed Friday, And then it went to kind of all hands on deck training for distance learning on Monday. That was suddenly canceled. We were all supposed to be allowed to go on campus tomorrow, get any personal items, laptops that we needed. And they were going to also make it available for students to go and get their laptops if they needed. And we had everything set up. And then today it was like, absolutely not, until further notice. Do not come on campus. Do not, do this or do that. And I'm hearing from, or, kind of seeing conversations on Facebook of people who are frustrated that they don't understand. And it's like, well, we had a teacher at a local school, test positive. I have contact. There's 720 something kids at the school I work with. Do I see them all at the same time? No. But do I see at least 100, 150 a day? 100%. Of course I do.
Right.
Like whether we're passing in the hallway or, God, you go into the cafeteria and there's, 200 kids eating at the same time. So I support this and I'm all on board for taking all the precautions. And I'm just frustrated with the people who they're just not listening. And it's like, God, what is it going to take? And so I appreciate you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah. These are proactive steps that the Commonwealth's taken, but unfortunately, with kind of more and more people not adhering to advice, we're having to now take reactive measures because the count's constantly, getting higher and higher.
Right.
The best source, the best thing that you could really do is, listen to your state health department or your local health department. That is your best source of information right there. No matter what county you live in, if you're in Virginia or Maryland, listen to your state health department. Follow your local health departments for most up-to-date information. That's going to be your best source of information. I mean, Virginia has now 408 cases of people that have been tested. 408 people that have been tested, 45 cases that are confirmed presumptive positive cases. So, the writing is on the wall. We're seeing it spread all across the United States, and it's very serious. And people really need to adhere to the advice of local and state officials, and listen to your local news. I mean, that's the best course of action, is to stay up to date and on top of it, and practice good hygiene techniques, like I said earlier in the onset.
So, if you do suspect that you may be infected, that you're feeling certain symptoms, what do you recommend at that point?
So, the symptoms that we're seeing a high fever, and this is ranging greater than 102. If you have a dry cough, if you're getting shortness of breath, this particular strain, the COVID-19 strain, coronaviruses have been around for a while, but this particular strain has a respiratory failure and distress ailment to it. So you're seeing a lot of patients come in with severe respiratory distress that leads to failure, and that's why we're seeing some of these people are passing away and dying. So if you have a high fever, if you have that dry cough, and what that essentially means is that you're not producing any kind of phlegm or sputum or anything when you cough up. It's just a dry, hacky cough. And you're short of breath. If you feel like you can't catch your breath, or you feel like, you're not breathing, then certainly contact your physician, your primary care physician. That would be the first step. And then they will, interview you, ask you a couple questions, may ask you to come in. But most of the time, they're going to recommend you going to your local ER. And, these are for our severe cases, severe cases where you feel like you can't catch your breath and breathing is hard. We don't want to tax the emergency rooms with cases because people are panicked or, feel like they're sick and they need to be checked out. We're asking people, do you truly need an emergency room visit? These are the people that are having respiratory distress and are having a compromised respiratory system. So those are the people that I would encourage to contact your local health provider or go to the ER and be seen.
Yeah. Well, I have a quick question. I read something recently on a corona, virus site, just on precautions and things like that on when to consider an ER doctor visit versus, say, allergies or, a common cold. And one of the repeated things I kept seeing was that if you can hold your breath for 10 seconds without coughing or wheezing, that was a good sign.
Right.
And that was the kind of thing that whole, like you just referred to, the shortness of breath, was a big factor that people should take into consideration of, not panicking, but yeah.
That's an excellent point. You can do that, but also I want to encourage people: do you have shortness of breath because you're exerting or you're moving around, or is your shortness of breath because you're stationary? And if you're stationary and you feel like you can't catch your breath when you're sitting down, when you're not exerting, when you're not moving around, then that's something to be concerned about. In addition to the high fever and the symptoms, right? So that is where you need to make that determination that if you feel like you can't catch your breath and you're not doing well, then that's the time that you need to seek further medical attention.
Yeah. And then, I'm sorry, Gil, did you have, I just totally took over, so I'm sorry. Did you?
No, it's fine. I told you to come on with any concerns you had, because you, more than me anyway, you deal with the public. So this is as much for you as it is for any and all of our listeners throughout the DMV and the world, for that matter. So, I don't mind. I don't mind at all.
Okay, because I was going to make it to an Anna and Ryan show.
Well, I actually wanted to jump in with another question. So there are those of us who still have to go out in the public, deal with the public for essential jobs. Ryan, if you are one of those people, how best can you protect yourself?
It's going to be just like I said earlier. It's going to be a common theme. Take proper hygiene precautions. If you need to distance your social distancing, that's a one thing you've probably heard in the public or through this whole coronavirus updates through the federal government and local health governments. But keep your distance. If you see somebody coughing, sneezing, those droplets are what is causing the spread. So, cut that contact. If you're near somebody that you think is sick, kind of keep your distance. Back up a little bit. Somebody sneezing and coughing, don't approach the immediate area. Don't touch the surfaces after their hands have been on them. And if you do, wash them immediately, 20 to 30 seconds at least. Put a hand sanitizer on. There's, like you said, there's people that that are essential personnel and do have to go to work, and I get that. But those are the things that you can do. You limit your contact with somebody that is sick, and if you yourself are sick, don't go into work that day, because your immune system, if you are feeling bad, is just as much compromised. So, if somebody else, that you interact with is carrying the virus and that they don't know it, you can easily be a target for them, So just take proper hygiene precautions. That's the biggest thing, and it's unfortunate that it's taken an outbreak like this for us to go over the basics of hygiene with people on, washing your hands and not sneezing in your hands, sneeze, in a tissue or or, you know, and then dispose of it right away. Don't carry it around or put it in your pocket or leave it somewhere where somebody else has to pick it up. You know, these are all common things that we should be doing now, but
regardless.
With this virus.
Well, and I think honestly that's probably my biggest frustration and my biggest like, what the fuck? Are you kidding me? That when this first came out, all of us, all the teachers and stuff were told like, hey, best way to avoid getting this is washing your hands. Are you kidding me? Like, I work with third graders. Do you know how much they're in my personal space
right.
for 7.5 hours? And I feel like I want to throw up about some, you know, at certain times during the day where I'm like, oh, go blow your nose. Ew. You know?
Yeah,
and it's like, that's our job. And we always take precautions. We're always washing our hands. But then I think of this tweet I saw 2 weeks ago, and it is still in my head, and I'm so grossed out by it, with a guy who is literally standing in line to use the bathroom, and he is tweeting, this is the first time ever, and I don't even know how old he was, that I've ever stood in line to use men's bathroom. And he says, because everyone is finally washing their hands.
Yeah.
And I thought that is so gross.
A sad and harsh reality of where we are right now.
It is.
That, you know, and it's not just, I mean, you may have great hygiene, you know, techniques and may wash your hands and do the right things, but it's not you that we have to worry about. It's everybody else.
Right.
That, you know, that's the reason that this is spreading. So, you know, these are just everyday steps that you should be doing. You know, this should be everyday practice, but even more so now.
And the funny thing is, Gil and I have been joking recently, just to kind of loop back into the cap stuff about, you know, how can we get this team back on track? And I'm a big, you know, supporter of going back to the basics and, you know, quit showboating and doing all this stuff. And then I think, oh my God, are we seriously talking about going back to the basics with just humanity in general and saying, hey, by the way, don't forget to use that soap and wash your hands for 20 seconds. It's like the fact that people have to use a song is scary. It's like,
this is where we're at now.
Yeah,
This is
it is, and it is quite frightening. But Gil, I didn't know if you had any other questions, because I would love to end on a happy note with Ryan and talk about the Caps.
Well, we're getting there. We're getting there. So I just had one more. Well, two more things. One that's more a point. But so bringing it back to home. We're all bummed that, of course, there's no hockey, there's no sports in general, mainly. But as I mentioned, it's for the greater good. And it should be obvious to all of us. It may not be obvious to some, should be obvious to all of us though. But can you explain from your perspective, in that you're one of the people out there trying to not only contain this, but turn this around and make sure it doesn't spread and not anybody is affected by this when this is all over? Why something like that, a step like that, to stop, you know, something we've been taking for granted for a long time, from going on, like the league stoppage? Why it's necessary?
Well, and like I was alluding to earlier, you know, the whole social distancing thing, you know, the whole purpose of that is to slow the spread of the virus, so you don't get a huge spike in the number of people getting sick all at once. So this, you know, when you have a huge burden of the population that is getting sick all at once, this puts a burden on our healthcare system, whether it's hospitals, whether it's first responders. And you got to think of the medical equipment that's needed for these patients. and whether there's enough of a supply to meet the demand of all these patients. So if you can delay the spread of the virus so new cases aren't popping up all at once, but over the course of like weeks or months, then our system can adjust and accommodate all the people who will be getting sick, possibly, in the near future and needing hospital care. So if you eliminate the large gatherings and the sporting events, you decrease that chance and getting an influx of people from that one gathering, because you have food workers, you have behind the scenes people, you have the players, the media, everybody in the stands, and the population of everybody attending these events is ranges from kids all the way up. So to avoid large gatherings like this, and I think that's why Governor Northam in Virginia has been very vocal on eliminating large gatherings and with the school closures, at least for 2 weeks, and that'll get reevaluated. It's the hope is to stop the spread of transmission of the virus. So, my opinion, when I sent you that message after the tweet, was to say, don't get too down yet, because I think, with taking these proactive steps, I think the league will go back to looking and revisiting this in about 30 days. Now, this is, consistent with, the numbers going down and the virus is not increasing in transmission, which I think if the steps that we're taking to contain and isolate these people, I think you could see the league revisiting in 30 days about, starting to possibly get, players back to practicing. And this would probably be without fans in the stands at MedStar. And then, hopefully the goal is within a 45 to 60-day period to get games back. But I mean, that's going to take, it's going to take all hands on deck, people being cognizant of what's going on, taking it seriously, like you said, Anna, and really doing their due diligence at home, practicing good hygiene, self-isolating, social distancing, even self-quarantining. I mean, staying at home if you don't really have to be out at all, I think that's where hopefully we will see ourselves. And in 30 days, maybe I'll come back on and we can talk about where we're at and maybe the start of new games.
Hopefully so.
I hope so.
So wrapping up that part of the discussion.
Mm-hmm.
So now that we've, I hope we haven't scared anybody off, but looking towards the positives, which we always try to do here.
I do. You don't.
So on a personal level and on a social level, this nobody wants to look at this as a death sentence in any sort of way.
Right.
Are you optimistic that this can be contained and life will return to some semblance of normalcy within the near future?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, because most people that will get this, if they're young and they're healthy, middle-aged and healthy, most people will recover from this. Even the elderly population, some that are can get this and recover. Majority of the people will recover from this, but it's those who have already weakened, like I said, immune systems, those who have battled cancer, been on chemo, that don't have the ability to fight things off as well. Those are the population, the most vulnerable that we are most concerned about. Like yourself, Hannah, myself. If we get the virus, our chances of being okay and returning to normalcy are very great, are very, very high. So, I don't want to be an alarmist to people, but I want people to take this seriously, that, it's a very serious virus that's going on. and we're working to contain it. And on the federal level, they're looking at some measures to respond to this as well. I'm hopeful that 3, 4, 5 months from now, we'll all look back on this and say, man, this was a pretty scary time and the United States, and we had to really take and heed the advice of our health officials, and we'll be better because of this, and we'll learn some really valuable lessons. My optimism is great. I think we're going to get through this. We will be better for this, and there's going to be lots of lessons learned from this. On certainly what we could have done better, how we could have responded better. But the time for those lessons will be later. The goal right now is to get everybody through this and for people to be smart. And that's where we're at right now. I think everything will get better. We'll get better.
Good. I'm glad to hear
I
that.
didn't scare anybody off. I wanted to be transparent and open about this, and I want the gravity of the situation to really for people to understand it. But we're going to get back to hockey. We'll have hockey. The Caps will hopefully get back to their winning ways and right the ship, and hopefully we'll be talking about the Stanley Cup parade.
Yeah,
I know. Like,
absolutely. So one final thought, and just as you were just the problem. We're not, just as Ryan said, we're not trying to scare anybody here. The problem with this disease, Anna, is that, and you should know this,
it's not a
being
disease,
a teacher.
It's a virus.
What?
It's not a disease, it's a virus.
Same difference.
Whoa.
Well, apples, just go ahead.
Apples and oranges. Okay. But everybody knows what I mean. The problem with this pandemic is rooted in the fact that we don't really know much about it. And here we are. We have this great technology where we can educate ourselves. So why not take advantage of it? Because when you know more about a problem, then you're better able to deal with it and then conquer it. So
absolutely.
I want to end that part of the discussion on that note and just thank you publicly for coming on here. Again, we're not trying to scare people. We're trying to get the word out there so that you're better educated in how to deal with this thing.
Right, absolutely. And, like you just said, there's great website. Technology is great. You can go to cdc.gov. There's a lot and an influx of information that talks about COVID-19 specifically, frequently asked questions, what to do if you're sick, what to look for, how it's transmitted. Your state health departments, Maryland and Virginia, have an influx of information as well, and talk about the health districts that are in your area. So there are valuable resources that people should go to, educate yourself, listen to medical experts, listen to the people in the field in public health that are there to help you. We are doing everything in our power to make sure that you are safe, that you stay healthy. So please, please, please listen to the experts that are out there.
Yes.
And thank you, Ryan, for being one of them.
Oh, I know. My pleasure.
Good God,
okay.
Seriously.
All right. So, So not to piss Anna off any further, so we're going to get into Caps talk here. Okay. All right. So they've been. You mentioned a roller coaster, Anna. And I mentioned bowel movements. Bit of both.
I'll go with the roller coaster. Much more appealing.
Yeah. So Anna suggested, and is still suggesting, a closed practice. So you've been observing, I'm sure, Ryan, as much as we have for the last couple months, at least since the All-Star break. What would you say is the number one problem with this team? Why have they been on this up and down kind of ride lately?
Well, for me, you see what they've done well. Like, everybody's talking about the coach and firing the coach. And Gil, you and I have had very animated discussions about that on Facebook.
I was not part of that.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Let me just address that real quick. I think we're fortunate that we're at the point that we are because they were playing so well. Had they not been playing so well early on and doing the basics, forechecking, back checking, aggressive on the PK, their power play doing so well, entries and exits. I mean, those are all, like you said, back to the basics. I mean, let's get out of our defensive zone cleanly. They haven't been able to do that. Going through the neutral zone, entering the neutral zone transition has been horrible. They're making poor passes. I mean, they're giving away the puck way too easily, in my opinion. I mean, we're not making smart decisions when we, enter into the offensive zone. The neutral zone, like I said, has been subpar. And defensively, they're just making mental mistakes. I mean, one of the defenders is always getting caught up. It's leading to odd man rushes, and you're giving the other team scoring opportunities. And typically when the other team's on odd man rushes, what's happening? We're committing stupid penalties. And, a big part of it, I think, is lack of discipline. And this is where, Todd Reardon and the leadership that's in that locker room really need to, have a really good long talk with them about that, because some of the penalties are absolutely just ridiculous. And, there is good penalties to take, and there's a lot of penalties that they're taking that are very bad, in my opinion.
Okay, so how much things? So how much of that, though, and I would just want to preface this by saying I'm not going to be one of these people that call for his head right now, because I think that would actually be counterproductive.
I agree with you 100%.
But at the same time, and it seems such a shame, because Todd Reardon is a brilliant tactician, especially with the defensive core. And he obviously knows how to match lines, because all you have to do for proof of that is to look at their road record. The Caps don't have the benefit of the last line change when they're on the road. And yet, on the road, they have the superior record. They have one of the best records in the league.
Right.
So it seems an absolute head scratcher to me as to why, like you said, they're having discipline problems. They play without any adherence to a plan. They look lost. And to me, maybe not all of it, but a good portion of that falls on the coaching. And you've got a guy like Reardon who is brilliant, who's smart, and knows the game inside and out. He's a former player, for crying out loud. And this is happening.
I think continuity is good. I mean, we didn't say that when we had Barry Chuck the first 2 years, right? I mean, we had,
exactly,
early exits. I mean, we weren't as vocal as we are with Todd Reardon. And I think that, hindsight, we look back and, oh, hey, Barry Chuck, we won a Stanley Cup with him. So, we kind of look back and forgive those early exits. I think continuity is big. And I'm not saying, look, he's not at fault, but I certainly, I wouldn't be opposed to us taking a look at the coaching staff around him that are in, that are the assistant coaches, associate coaches. I think that's worth taking a good hard look. I haven't been impressed with Reed Cashman, and
there you go.
Well, that's going to be the one name I will throw out there. I haven't been impressed with him. I just, the defensive pairings have been questionable at best. But, see, the problem for me is they get on these little mental mistakes that they make, and then it just cascades into turnovers, into being undisciplined and taking penalties. I mean, yeah, they don't have the luxury of the last line change at away. But I also think that they don't have the pressure of playing, at home. I think it's, and I hate to say that because I think it's one of the best barns to play in, for home fans getting behind the team. But it's almost to me like we are back into the pressure of performing well and the expectation of performing well. You know, we said that when they couldn't get over the hump, like the expectation is high. And you know, I don't want to be alarmist, but I mean, it's almost like they've gotten back into that old trap of, you know, the expectation is high and the pressure is on them. And, you know, maybe that's a you know, a factor in it as well. I don't know, but that is a concern for me because they don't have that when they're on the road.
Yeah, well, and I actually have a question for both of you, Gil. I know, surprise, surprise, I came prepared. I am wondering if either one of you feels that Carlson and or Backstrom's season has been kind of subpar, we'll say, due to an unknown injury, meaning unknown to the public.
So here's
I'll let Ryan field that one. He's the medical expert here. I have my own opinion, but I'll let him field that first.
Well, here's
okay.
And I don't know if Jill told you, but I also am one of the athletic trainers for the Potomac Patriots. So I work with premier hockey players down at Prince William. So I'm there with them.
Okay.
If it's an injury that's going to prevent them from producing and playing less than 100%, we don't have them go because you don't want to further risk another injury. Now, I can't speak for, I'm not in the NHL, I can't speak for that, but I can just only tell you, you know, for our younger hockey players, we don't take that risk because if there is something there that we are questioning whether they're going to give 100%, because, you know, 50% Nicholas Backstrom is not going to help us win games, or a 50% John Carlson. And I mean, John's had a great year so far. I mean, look at his numbers. He's having, from what I've seen, one of his best years. But up until recently, things have, you know, gotten a little off track.
Right. And I feel like we've seen, or like in, you know, after the fact, heard from players or coaches about players. Like, I feel like Brooks Orpik was one of them that was like, oh, he, you know, played, and then this was the injury he played through, that kind of stuff. But I just feel like for some reason these two players, for as fantastic as they are and as talented as they are, especially Carlson, you know, just kind of blowing all, you know, just fantastic that first half, more than half of the season. And then all of a sudden it was just like, what the hell happened? And then with Backstrom, it's, you know, he's one that, you know, all of us were so supportive of signing the contract. Oh, keep him. And then he's just sort of plateaued a little bit, but then he has these really amazing assists and things, you know, that it's just like, all right, is there an underlying injury? I just an opinion. I was just asking, Gil. So I was just wondering if either one of you thought that they were injured and that's why maybe their game wasn't so hot.
I would think that the trainers in the NHL would notice, in addition to the coaches, would notice something. I mean, look, players may keep things hidden because they don't want to be scratched. They don't want to be a healthy scratch, or don't want to go on the day to day, or, you know, 7 day or whatever. I mean, you know, I would think that, you know, our coaching staff and our trainers would be astute enough to recognize something's maybe off with their game.
Right.
I mean, I would hope it's not injury, and I would hope that if they did have something that was ailing or they were fighting through something, they would be seeking aggressive treatment and getting it taken care of, because they are at their best when they're healthy and 100% for us. I think Carlson's, you know, I don't know. It's hard to say. I'll let Gil provide his input, and I'll stop talking for a second.
Well, for my part of it, it's two facets for me. There is the physical element. I mean, this team has played 68 games so far. and Backstrom was out a good chunk. He had that 2 weeks or so where he was out. And there could be something a bit nagging, a bit lingering. He is over 30 years old now, and as we all know, it takes a bit longer to get over an injury the older you get. But it could also be the normal wear and tear. We're getting into the stretch run, or we were anyway. And other teams they ramp up their game, so that takes a toll as well. So I'm not gonna dismiss the physical aspect of it, but I think that is part of it. I don't know about an injury. If there is, it's at best minor, or at worst minor, and maybe just nagging. And it's a cliche, but most players I find are, if they have something like that, are at their best if they just simply play through that. But of course, if it's bad enough, you want them to sit out, as Ryan was mentioning. So I would say that there's credence to what he's saying, of course, in that if there really was a legit injury that's bothering them, they would be sitting out, and they're not. It's the trainers and the coaches' best discretion. But I think more than anything else, what might be weighing on the both of them, Backstrom especially, is the fact that, well, okay, so Carlson year before last got that big contract, and this year was supposed to be his coming out party, and until about a week and a half ago, it was. Backstrom redid his contract and is probably going to retire a capital. Now, wondering about your future also weighs on you mentally, and it can weigh on you physically, but it definitely weighs on you mentally. So maybe that part of it, and Anna, you probably knew this already, because you tend to pick up on the mental aspect of things, but that could be part of why maybe they're not, maybe, and it just, in the game of hockey, we all know, it only takes a split second where you have to make that decision. If you lose concentration for a millisecond, you are lost.
Right.
And maybe, a few times, a handful of times, Backstrom especially might have been caught in that situation where he took his eye off the puck, and you've seen what can happen.
Yeah.
I
no, and I feel the same way. Sorry, Ryan, go ahead.
No, I was just going to echo. I apologize. I don't want to interrupt your show, but I wanted to echo kind of what off of Gil was just saying there, because I think, with Carlson, like, he has been so good, but I think if you look at some of the past games where he's gotten beat, he's missed an assignment, missed his player, not paying attention. I mean, 3 guys in the corner leaving a guy in front of the net wide open, where Carlson missed an assignment there, or he got caught pinching down in the offensive zone too far, leading, odd man rushes. So, I would hope that, it's mental mistakes that they can correct. They can watch film, look at it, and say, look, this is what we're doing wrong here, But, I mean, in addition to that, if they do get caught, it's up to the, all the forwards to kind of realize that and get back and help out and back check. And I think that's severely lacking as well, is we have not done a good job back checking as a hockey team defensively. And, you can't just put all the blame just on the defenders. Forwards gotta recognize that when assignments get blown, or that D-man is pinching up, that they've got to help out. So, if it is an injury to Carlson or Backstrom, this time off should certainly help heal them. So, you would hope everybody comes back 100%. And in shape, that's going to be a key as well.
Yeah.
Them, doing their due diligence and definitely getting workouts in and their cardio up to par, because, during all season, they got to be, continue to move, keep their strength up.
Good. Absolutely.
Well, speaking of that, one last quick question about that, and this ties in, of course, to the layoff, to the pause. How many games basically will it take, do you think, for the players to kind of get back into regular playing shape, especially with the playoffs looming?
Well, I think you're going to see teams start to open up practices when things are calming down and we're seeing numbers decrease in the virus. And the league starts to allow teams to go back and start, practicing. And I think you're going to probably see a good 7 to 10 days of just daily practices, and then they'll try to resume the league, thereafter. For this team, it can't be many. I mean, they've got to see where they're at in the standings and see how many people, how many teams are right behind them. I mean, you really can't afford, you give it a game or two, but they're going to have ample enough time to have those practices to be in game shape and game ready. I mean, that's the biggest challenge. And it's not just for the Caps; it's for all teams right now. It's
exactly
game shape. So, I mean, the coaching staff is going to have to really buckle down and get good game plans. I mean, if you resume the season where it left off, you have 2 easy games that you should really win, hands down, in my opinion, and Detroit and Chicago, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I think those are 2 games that, yes, Chicago's got some talent and can be a threat, but I think that's, 2 games that the Caps should easily win, in my opinion. And if it looks like we're struggling, then that will be extremely concerning on my part, for me, because, you can't afford to lose games that should be an easy 2 points. So, but to answer your question, I would give it maybe 3 games at most, but then again, you don't have many games. You really can't afford to come back and lay an egg on teams that you should have an easy 2 points. So for me, it's not going to be many before I'm really questioning what's going on here, and that's that's for another conversation, I guess. If the team's not responding after games like that, then we have that conversation afterwards.
Yeah, and a lot of us definitely will, I'm sure.
Well, I mean, look, I don't think it would be bad for Brian McClellan and Dick Patrick and Ted Leonsis to sit down with Todd and talk to him about, is he surrounded with the best talent for this team? And that means, goalie coach. That means, Blaine Forsythe, Reed Cashman, Scott Arneal. Are they truly the best people that can be successful, under Todd Reardon's helm? Or is it time to maybe look elsewhere or go with a new direction? So I think if we have another early exit, I think those questions certainly can be asked. Considering how well we started the season.
I think ultimately that's the most sensible approach to things, and leaving emotion out. I think that especially if it's one and done again this year, that discussion is more than warranted. But
I just don't want to get coach happy. Coach.
Right.
Where we, the blame is on the coach, and it's this big coaching carousel. Because the team thrives. I think, in my opinion, it thrives when it got continuity, and there's the right people in place. Special teams, power play, PK, the coaches are in place. I mean, I think this team does best when you have good talented coaches back there, and so
yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and I definitely think Todd Reardon is one. I said last week with Rochelle Wilcox on that to me, my perspective on him, the way he's handled things, for a lot of it is seems like, he's still approaching it as an associate or assistant coach and not as a head coach. And that may not be the best thing. And so my hope, of course, because his success is the team's success, is that he keeps on growing into that role. But the worry is that if he doesn't, then and he never figures out how to be a head coach 100% of the time, then no, he's not going to get the most out of the talent. And that's he's kind of at a crossroads as far as that goes.
Well, I mean, it just depends on how we're measuring success here for him as well, though. I think, if we have another first-round exit, look, there's teams that have coaches that haven't made the playoffs for 2 and 3 years, but they're still sticking with them for continuity purposes. I think we always have this high expectation because we've been to the big dance now. We've won it. We finally have reached that hurdle, but are we going to define success for each coach that comes in? You got to get us back to the Stanley Cup. I mean, I know that's what every coach aims for, and that's what we should. We should want that. But are we going to get rid of somebody because we don't reach the Stanley Cup final every year? I mean, you know what I'm saying? What's a reasonable expectation for where we want him to be at? How do you measure success? I mean, if we're constantly breaking records and we're getting into the playoffs and we're finishing first in the Metro, are we saying, that's great, but not good enough? And then we start over, and then you have to go through a whole regimen of coaching changes and a different direction and a different system. And, there's where my concern is us pushing the reset button too soon.
Yeah.
So,
and that's a fair point.
Mm-hmm. And I will just say, and I know, Gil, you want to close out the show because we're running over, but I will just say that at some point you do have to look at the statistics, the points, where we are in the division, and then you got to put it on the players. And I've always felt that way, and I will always feel that way as the coach is there to guide you, but the players are the ones that know what they're supposed to do and how they're supposed to execute the certain plays and chemistry amongst things. So, if you have to get Carlson and Kempney back on the top line, do it. If Dylan isn't working out, then, move him with somebody else. Whatever the circumstances, the players will talk. The players will figure it out. These are grown men. They're athletes. They're going to say, listen, this guy's an asshole. I don't want to work with him. It's not working out. I have better chemistry with this guy. These players know what they're doing. This is their life. This is their job. So, to put, I like Reardon. I don't know what it is about him. I just have always liked him. I'm going to support him. And I think, what he does in the locker room is something that the public's never going to see. Good. We shouldn't. I don't need a hothead on the bench that's going to be, like a Torts or whatever. Those are the coaches I don't care for so much.
So you're not a John Tortorella fan.
Oh God, no.
You know what?
God knows she's not.
I'm not. Do I find him amusing at times when he's not playing against the Caps and he's doing, an interview afterwards? Yes, there is something about him that is pseudo appealing. But do I like that coach attitude? No. I mean, because people want to say like, oh, Todd Reardon, like he looks sleepy. He's this. He needs to. You also come on now. You are dealing with grown men. He doesn't need to be, bad news Bears coach. Out there like kicking shit over and
I think
Billy Martin like going crazy. It's like, come on, like he's gonna treat his players with respect, and then what he does in the locker room is what he wants to do. But I don't need to see an explosive coach on, out there during every game.
I like his calm and measured approach. I think that's a good step. And I think, I think, look, the leadership in this room has been there long enough that if they are having problems or conflicts with the coach, I think that they would take it upon themselves to sit down with BMAC and say, look, it's just not happening. The message isn't clear. We're not getting it. It's not working. It's time to make a change. I would think that Ted Leonsis would give Alex Ovechkin enough, of that, I don't want to say power. Well, I mean, I guess enough of that leeway where he could circumvent and go above Todd and say, look, BMAC, it's not working. Something's got to change here because the guys in the locker room, we're not playing to that level. But that's just my opinion.
Well, hopefully it won't come to that. And if it has, everybody's cleared the air, and maybe this pause will serve, as a catalyst to that, if something like that's needed. But hopefully it's not gotten to that, nor will it get to that at that point. So, keeping our fingers crossed and being optimistic, but unfortunately we're all in a holding pattern at this point. So I could go on like this all night, but we've we've burnt the candle at both ends, almost literally here. So I just want to take this opportunity again to thank you, Ryan, for taking time out. You've told me a lot. I've learned a lot about you these last couple of days, and I will remain fascinated by how it is you keep up such a busy schedule. But I know you do have such a busy schedule. I do want to thank you once again immensely for taking time out and giving of yourself for not only us here at the show, but our listeners and of course our Caps fan community in general, with all of the valuable information and your perspective on things.
Well, you're welcome. It's my honor to have been on the show, and I appreciate you having me and being able to just get the message out to all the listeners and everybody out there on how to stay safe and healthy.
And so since you do serve the Commonwealth of Virginia, would you mind making your contact information available for anyone out there that does have any questions? Yeah, absolutely. As far as like my email, do you want me to give that to you now, or do you want my would you mind giving the best contact information if somebody has a question? Well, I mean, even if it's Caps related, but mainly for this current crisis that we're all trying to get a handle on, because like I said, there's a lot of scared people out there, and they're going to want answers. So absolutely. So if you want to reach me, you can call my number. I'll give you my number right now. You can reach me at 540-809-6131. Email. We lost him.
Oh no.
We lost him. Okay. Well, I've got his email address. So since he was about to give that out, it's
Maybe
first.
It was planned.
I don't. I doubt that. I doubt that. But his email address. Okay. So yay for my technology failing me. Okie dokie. Hold on.
No pressure. We're only just waiting by.
Definitely going to edit this part out. Play your favorite hold music. Looks like we got him back.
Okay.
Ryan, you there?
That. Yes.
Okay, great.
Sorry.
Okay, so no problem. So you were about to give out your email address and save me from 15 seconds of embarrassment because my phone sucks?
Oh, no worries. So it's all signs at vdh.virginia.gov, or if you want to personally reach me on my personal email, if you have Caps questions, the best thing is to email me at signs.wine@gmail.com.
Okay, so that first one was rfines at
vdh.virginia.gov.
Okay, vdh.virginia.gov. Okay. All right. Cool. Okay. So I think this is a good place to wrap it up here. I'm feeling like, I know a lot more than I did going into this thing, and I'm kind of an internet junkie, and I thought, I thought I did as much research as I could, but I feel at least anyway, hearing it from a person that's dealing with this, that this thing isn't going to get the best of us. Hockey may be gone for now, but it'll come back. Life as we know it will come back. We haven't lost it all.
Absolutely.
So I don't think there's any reason to stay in despair. I'm not just drinking any Kool-Aid or trying to blindly stay positive. We have greatly informed and talented and skilled people, such as the gentleman that was just speaking to us, handling this thing. So if we trust in them to do the right thing by everybody, I think like he said, like Ryan said, we will be okay for it, and maybe, just maybe, we'll be better and wiser for it. So Ryan, thanks once again for joining us. And
not a problem. It's my pleasure.
Absolutely, ours too. And we will definitely have you on again, probably around the time the league decides to lift the suspension and beyond, of course, for General Cap's commentary, because it's going to be a heck of a playoff ride. I just know it.
Absolutely. Well, thanks again. And I'd be honored to be on again whenever you want me.
Excellent.
Thanks so much, Ryan. We appreciate it.
Not a problem. You guys have a great night. Talk to you soon.
You too.
You
Bye-bye.
too. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye. Okay, so that was Ryan Fines. He is first and foremost a Caps fan, but trite saying, of course, but a citizen of humanity as well, and a healer. And what else can you say about him? He's doing everything he can to make things better. So
and it's so awesome. And again, like, I think people will appreciate this episode on so many levels. He, aside from being a diehard Caps fan, which we all know, but just that knowledge, very calm, nothing, he spoke to us and, the listeners in a very, like, in that perfect manner. Like, you don't want someone who's going to be totally robotic, not being able to relate, just dictating facts. This is very, exactly what you needed to hear, and maybe kind of hopefully put some fears at ease, and then also have some people kind of wake up to, okay, here's what I need to do, and I need to take this seriously. This is, I'm not, entitled. So, good call on you for having him on, Gil.
Well, I was struck by what he, like I said, when I posted that note about the suspension, and I think he kind of picked up on the fact that, there was some disappointment there, and he was there, like, a good citizen, a good member of the community, say, hey, it's not the end of the world, and it's not.
Yeah, no, that was great. That was a great way for us to kind of, postpone our podcast, I guess.
Are you asking for some time off?
No, I already have 4 weeks off from school.
I was going to say. Well, okay. So in all honesty, I have not quite figured out what we're going to do in the interim. Okay. I would like to keep the show going. We may not be on every week for the duration. We may take a week off here and there, depending how long things last. But I'm going to try and figure something out to keep things going.
Figure out, you're creative, and I'll shoot down things I don't like, and I'll participate in things that I do like. What?
And why? How is that different from what we've been doing?
Any other show? Exactly. But no, I'll be here. I'm 100% on board if you want to talk about hockey or not, or whatever. I am taking Ryan's advice to heart, and I have been. We are pseudo self-quarantine, not going out unless needed. And now I have to be a teacher to my kids and not the mom being like, yeah, go on screens. I'm all good with it. To be sure that they're not total screen zombies during this time off. So basically that's what I'll be doing. So I won't have too much to report, but I'm sure I can find something amusing to relay to you if needed.
And as for me, I will be working a 13-hour shift at my day job, teaching my fellow coworkers how to use their computers to remote in from home so that they don't have to go into the office and get everybody sick.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Awful.
Yeah, well.
Awful. But you'll do it and you'll rock it, and people be like, "That's why Gil does this." I don't know.
Oh, they do.
Maybe.
They actually do say that.
Oh, okay. Well, good. I was right up there with them. So, anywho.
Okay.
Right, so
well,
we're
anyway,
let's
let's go into this thing. Go into this pause with our heads held high, and our hankies held high as well. Sorry. Not sure if we'll be on next week. I'll think of something. There'll be announcements. You know us. We'll keep it going one way or another, whether it's a best of thing. I don't know. I'm kicking around 5 or 6 ideas in my head, but we'll keep things going at least through the Facebook page. And like I said, hockey will be back soon enough. And life will go on. So, all right. So for the Mermaid Anna Knox, this is the Blue Liner on Point signing off and reminding you.
Wash your hands.
Not only that, but that a guy walks into his doctor's office saying, "Help me, doctor, I'm shrinking." "Hold on," says the doctor. "Be a little patient."
Nope.
Nothing?
A chuckle.
Okay.
Little patient.
I'll take whatever. I'll take what I. It's like being at a Costco. I'll take whatever I can get.
Okay, that's good. That's what you should. All good.
Hallelujah, and let's go Caps.
Go Caps.
This has been another episode of the Power Play Point Podcast. All episodes are available from Apple Podcasts, the Podbean app, blueliner77.podbean.com, and now available from Stitcher. Music by Joe McAllister, voiceover by Jeffrey Conkle.